Hi guys! Chapter 5, Willa and the Whale. Chapter 5, Unnoticed. Willa Twitchell, Journal number 5, 3.5 weeks ago. The Gulf Corvina fish can be the loudest fish in the world. When a few million guy Corvinas get together off the coast of California and they're all trying to get the attention of the lady Corvinas, they are loud, like deafeningly loud. Literally over 1 million of them gather, and researchers have recorded volumes at 150 decibels. That's louder than a jet taking off. It can shake ships that float by, and it can damage other sea creatures' hearing. I think my dad and my stepmom's house is louder than 1 million Corvina fish. Get that spatula out of your shirt, my stepmom Masha said, and take it to the sink. I'm going to have to wash it again. She let out an exasperated sigh, staring intently at Caleb, my 7-year-old stepbrother. But my back itches, Caleb said, as if what he said was somewhere close to a good reason to have a spatula up your shirt. Caleb was cute, but dumber than a mola fish. Thankfully, though, he wasn't nearly as huge and awkward. Caleb scratched his back under his Star Wars shirt a few more times with the spatula, his dark eyebrows curling with satisfaction. It works really good. Well, my dad said, it works well. See? Caleb said, pointing at my dad. Jason thinks it's a good idea. My step-siblings all call my dad by his first name. That was weird, but probably less weird than them calling him Dad. I didn't say it was a good idea, Dad said. I was correcting your grammar. His brown beard moved as he spoke. Masha thinks his beard makes him look handsome. I think it makes him look like a lumberjack or a bristly toadfish. I want to try, Nadia said, reaching out for the spatula. She was a few years younger than Caleb, and her blonde hair somehow always looked messy, even right after she took a shower and brushed it. Neither Nadia nor Caleb seemed to care about Dad's grammar lesson. Just put the spatula in the sink and sit down for dinner, Masha said, blowing her blonde hair out of her eyes. Her hair looked clean, but by the end of the day, it was a little crazy. She had made breaded chicken and homemade fries. It smelled good. Masha was a better cook than my mom. Maybe the only thing she was better at. I still didn't really know how to feel about Masha. She was nice to my dad, and they seemed okay together. That was good. But she was living in my old house and kissing my dad, which was ew. She was on her phone a lot, which was annoying since she had kids to take care of. Oh, a lot of kids. And she was pretty much a guppy. Guppies can birth as many as 200 babies at a time. Masha didn't give birth to all of them at once, and she didn't give birth to 200, but 4 kids is a lot. She brought the older 3 with her when she married my dad 2 years ago, and then had another one. They all seemed like their volume dials were turned up way too high. It was like they had to talk over each other to be heard. So in general, I just don't say anything and retreat to my room whenever I can. And that's strange. I'm usually a talker. Years ago in this same house, it was just my mom, my dad, and me. 3 people. We talked a lot, but not constantly. I used to be able to hear the refrigerator hum while I was working on my homework, or the crickets at night. But now we had 7 people in this house. That was more than double, and I had to share the space with Masha, Caleb, Nadia, Garth, and baby Hannah. Hannah was 1 year old and cuter than a mandarin fish, but louder than a barking seal. I wanted my mom back more than ever. She never shouted. It just wasn't her style. Masha shouted every day. Things like, dinner, and brush your teeth, and get that spatula out of your shirt. There was something about seeing Masha that made me miss my mom more. It was like she was a reminder of what I used to have. Things were different with my dad, too. When it was just my mom and him, they both worked, so neither one of them had to work crazy hours. But now that it's just him, Masha doesn't work, and 1 million people in this house to take care of, he's gone all of the time. He's an accountant for the city, but takes late-night jobs doing other people's taxes and doing books for some companies. I mean, he's still around, but I miss him, and he's just different. Quieter, less fun, no magic tricks. I don't know if it's because of problems that I don't know about or what, but he's just not the same guy that I left 3 years ago. I don't think it's Masha's fault. He smiles when he sees her, but I can't put my finger on what it could be. Open up, Masha said, trying to get Garth to eat his chicken. He shook his head. "It's gross," he said. His voice would have been adorable if he didn't talk like he thought he were on the other side of the island. Oh, I guess I should have said that louder, huh? I'll try that again. "It's gross," he said. His voice would have been adorable if he didn't talk like he were on the other side of the island. How could anyone so adorable be so completely annoying at the same time? "It's not," Nadia said, a little louder than Garth, as if we needed anything louder. "Is too," Garth said, even louder. I think he was trying to win this argument by blowing out our eardrums. "Not!" Nadia screamed. "Quiet!" Masha called out, louder than them all. "You two have been fighting all day, and I'm done with it." Definitely not like my mom. The table was quiet, like the eye of a storm. "We saw a humpback whale yesterday," I said, trying to change the tone of the meal and trying to get back to my talkative self. "What's a humpback?" Caleb asked. Again, dumber than a mola mola fish. I tried not to show my annoyance at having to explain what a humpback whale is to a 7-year-old. I mean, who trained this kid? "It's one of the coolest creatures in the world," I said. "It was bigger than a bus and weighs tons and tons. If it landed on this house, it would squash us all flat. Here, I got some video. Let me show you." I started to reach for my phone. It wouldn't be as cool to show them as it was to show Meg, but they would still be impressed. "Was it on that special boat ride Jason took you on because your mom died?" Nadia asked with a smile. A huge cornbread in her mouth, but she couldn't help from talking smile. I froze. Stings. A septillion of them. I'm sure Nadia didn't mean to send them, but she did. Masha or my dad must have told her about it. "Yes," my dad said, and then couldn't seem to say anything else. I couldn't get over Nadia's gigantic smile. Everything inside of me felt the opposite of a smile, but there she was, just beaming. She wasn't sad about my mom. She didn't even know her. I looked at everyone at the table. None of them, except my dad, even knew her. None of them were sad. And my dad had divorced her. He let her leave to the other side of the world, and he didn't even once visit us in Japan. There was no way he missed her like I did. I was the only one trapped in this bloom of jellyfish. The stings like harpoons jabbed me all over. "I'm sorry," Masha said, apologizing to me for Nadia. "And we're really sorry about..." Just then Hannah reached for Nadia's drink and sent apple juice splashing all over the table. "Oh, Hannah!" Masha nearly screamed. She grabbed her youngest daughter out of the chair before she could get drenched in dripping juice. Dad got up and rushed for some towels. Caleb laughed and Nadia told him it wasn't funny. I couldn't take it. I wasn't hungry anymore. I slipped out of my chair, put my dish in the sink, and in all the confusion, I slid out the front door. I didn't tell them any more about Meg. They were worried about the spill. And they would probably never remember to ask about my video. My spectacular video. My mom would have wanted to know all about it. I was supposed to ask before I left the house, but I hadn't done that in a while. Almost every day this week I snuck out after dinner. Well, I actually wasn't that sneaky. Just nobody was watching. They probably assumed I was doing my homework or looking at my ocean books in my room. And with all the loud kids and loud Masha, no one noticed. Or they didn't care.